Continuation of part 2, chapter number 1, page number 12. The second last paragraph from the bottom. Then someone I don't know who brought out a football. Great coats were dumped in piles to make goal posts. And the next thing we knew, it was Tommy against Frizz out in the middle of no man's land. Hans Wolf and I looked on and cheered, clapping our hands and stamping our feet to keep out the cold as much as anything. There was a moment when I noticed our breaths mingling in the air between us. He saw it and smiled. Jim MacPherson, he said after a while, I think this is how we should resolve this war. A football match. No one dies in a football match. No children are orphaned. No wives become widows. Here, dear students, we see that Jim was spellbound with what had happened that day, and suddenly he saw someone had brought a football. It was not clear who it was, the Frizz or the Tommy had brought the ball, but he saw that soon after that the soldiers had dumped their coats to make a goal post, and the next moment a football match began, Tommy versus the Frizz. Dear students, here you see Jim is saying that the weather was very cold and both of them, Hans Wolf and Jim, were trying to cheer the soldiers as well as they were trying to keep themselves warm by stamping their feet to keep the cold out of them. And at that time he saw that his breath was mingling with Hans Wolf's breath. Your students, mingling of breath means when you breathe out, when it is very cold weather, you can see a smoky vapor coming out of your mouth. And the same thing was happening here. Both of them were breathing out, and these smoky vapors were mingling with each other. Hans saw this and he smiled. And you see, students, suddenly Hans came up with the thought that it was better to resolve wars with a football match than to fight. You see, students, it is said that water, air, sky, and birds have no boundaries. So do artists, players, and humanity have no boundaries. At the end of this paragraph are the most touching message of this story that war brings nothing but loss and disaster and destruction. It is better to solve disputes through football matches so that no children are orphaned or no wives become widow. This is what the thoughts expressed by the commander of the German army. Here we see that when Hans Wolf sees that both are playing so well and there is peace everywhere. He saw that there is no reason for us to fight, but yet, if there was any reason to fight, the countries must find better ways to solve them than to go at war. I would prefer cricket, I told him. Then we, Tommy, could be sure of winning probably. Though it was a fact or it was true that nobody likes war, and though Hans Wolf suggested his way of solving wars, it was not a practical thing that would never have happened. And for this, Jim further added to the joke that he would have preferred cricket because, in that case, the Tommies would have certainly won because the Britishers are good at cricket. We laughed that and together we watched the game. Sad to say, Connie, Frizz won 2 goals to 1, but as Hans generously said, our goal was wider than theirs, so it wasn't quite fair. So here, Jim and Macpherson they had a hearty laugh at what Jim said, but at the end, the result was that the Frizz has actually won the match, and in case the war was to be solved with the help of a football match, then certainly it was the victory of the Germans, and that's why Jim said that it was sad that Frizz win because after all, may it be a match or may it be a war, any person, any citizen would always like their country to win. But he saw that Hans himself was a very generous man. He was fair enough to say that their goal was wider and that was why they had won the match. The time came, and all too soon, when the game was finished, the snaps, snaps means your drink, German drinks, which they had brought to celebrate Christmas, and rum. Rum is also kind of a drink, and the sausages had long since run out. Run out means they had finished, everybody had eaten it up, and there was no more left over. And we knew it was all over. I wished Hans well and told him I hoped we would see his family again soon, that the fighting would end and we could all go home. Dear students, in this paragraph, you see the last line. I hoped he would see his family again soon, that the fighting would end and we could all go home. In this paragraph, dear students, we see that after all, they were enemies, though they were celebrating Christmas together. The point had come when they had to depart from each other. They have to listen to the country's call now and not to their heart's call, whether they liked it or no. They had to go away. So Hans wished Jim goodbye and told him that he hoped that he would soon be with his family again and that the fighting would end and they all could go home to their families. I think that is what every soldier wants on both sides, Hans Wolf said. Take care, Jim Macpherson. I shall never forget this moment, nor you. He saluted and walked away from me slowly, unwillingly. I felt he turned to wave just once and then became one of the hundreds of the grey coated men drifting back towards their trenches. Dear students, this very sentence, that is what every soldier wants, is the soul of this story. Students, every soldier wants war to end, every soldier wants to meet their family. It was time to depart, though Hans was unwilling to go back. Maybe he didn't want to go back and stay back with Jim, but as a matter of fact, for a soldier, duty is above friendship, relations, and everything else in his life. As they had come there, they had to go back in the same manner to their respective trenches. The night back in our dugouts, we heard them singing carols and singing it quite beautifully. It was Stille Nacht, means silent night. Our boys gave them a rousing chorus of wild shepherds washed. We exchanged carols for a while and then we all fell silent. We had had our time of peace and goodwill, a time I will treasure as long as I live. Dear students, those wonderful moments that Hans nor Jim would ever forget were about to become the part of their uncomparable memory. Jim tells Connie that the night they heard the Frizz sing carols. Christmas carols are the songs that are sung during Christmas in praise of Jesus and Mary. Then, when the Frizz were singing, the Britishers also exchanged the songs with them. They too sang similar beautiful carols for the Frizz. What does this imply? Can you imagine, students? The soldiers here are under constant risk of being killed. There is no guarantee they might go home ever, so it is better to live the present. This incident shows how, under the threat of death, the soldiers are enjoying the moment which they can uh, because the reason is that they are optimists. We should also be optimists in life like these soldiers and enjoy life through throughout in because life is nothing but full of risk and odds and events. The positivity is in Jim Macpherson. Also, he believes that one day war will end and he will be with his dear wife, and that he will and that the Christmas party would be just a memory the next Christmas that he would celebrate. Dearest Connie, by Christmas time next year, the war will be nothing but a distant and terrible memory. I know from all that happened today how much both armies long for peace. We shall be together again soon, and I am sure of it. You see, dear students, here Macpherson is so sure that the war was definitely going to end. The reason behind that he was thinking that as they were feeling in the same way. The Germans too wanted a peace, and this desire is only going to help people to stop war and bring peace, and that is why he believes that he will be with his wife Connie certainly in the next Christmas, and that this particular moment that he had enjoyed with his enemy was going to be like a treasure that he was going to keep it safely forever in his heart. So, now, students, we will just take a review of our part 2 of this chapter. What have we learned or what have we seen in this part 2 of this chapter? We saw that Jim McPherson saw that the Frizz were uh, inviting them to celebrate Christmas. At the beginning, he was not sure about the intention, but once he was sure that they honestly wanted to celebrate Christmas, they too moved forward, and it was a very wonderful thing that both the uh, Frizz and the Tommies were at the No Man's Land celebrating Christmas together. They enjoyed a lot. They had their rums, they drank rums together, they sang, they played, they joked with each other, they discussed, they had a talk with each other, they shared their views about each other, and at the end they parted with a hope that the war would end very soon and that soon they would go back to their families. It was a most wonderful Christmas for Jim because he had never imagined that he would ever, there was ever a possibility for two enemies to celebrate Christmas in such a manner that they had. And now, dear students, let us come to comprehension check. Who had written the letter, to whom, and when? So, you can see now it is clear that Jim McPherson has written the letter to his wife on 26 December 1914. Why was the letter written? What was the wonderful thing that had happened? Why was the letter written? The letter was written by Jim to his wife to tell about the wonderful thing that had happened. And what was that wonderful thing? He had celebrated Christmas with his enemy in the no man's land. What jobs did Hans Wolf and Jim McPherson have when they were not soldiers? As you know, Hans Wolf was a part of our orchestra, and he used to play the instrument, musical instrument called cello, and Jim McPherson was a teacher. Had Hans Wolf ever been to Dorset? And you know that he had never been there because that is what Jim told, that he was never there and yet he knew very good English. Why did he say he knew? He said he knew because he had learned everything about England and English in his school, and also he had been reading English books. Do you think Jim McPherson came back from the war? Why do you know this? So they are asking, do you think McPherson came back from the war? I think he didn't come back from the war because we see from the dates. You remember the dates that I mentioned uh, in the letter, and the day on the note that was put on the black tin paper. The black tin paper had a date written as 25th January 1915, and the date on which this letter was sent was 26 December 1914, and it was mentioned that that was the last letter from Jim. And now see, that Christmas was celebrated by him, and then if that was the last letter, then when did he come back? Because he was about to celebrate Christmas, the next Christmas, and the next Christmas would fall in 1915, obviously, because the particular Christmas that he mentioned was in 1914. So, from this we feel that Jim McPherson never came back because that was the last letter. In case he had come, then such a note wouldn't have been written, or he would have sent more letters if he was alive at all. Okay, students, so that is the end of the part 2 of this chapter. I would tell you to read this particular part and part 1, both of them, thrice or twice, and underline the hard words and try to find out their meanings and make sentences if possible with the help of a dictionary.